gentleman. Recognize the gentleman from Ohio, Mr. Jordan.
Thank you. Director, was Agent Peter Strzok the former deputy head of counterintelligence at the FBI?
I don't remember his exact title, but I believe that's correct.
And he's the same Peter Strzok who was a key player in the Clinton investigation, the same Peter Strzok who interviewed Cheryl Mills, Huma Abedin, participated in the Clinton, Secretary Clinton's interview. And he's also the same Peter Strzok who now we know changed Director Comey's exoneration letter, changed the term gross negligence, which is a crime, to extreme carelessness. Is that the same guy?
Well, Congressman, I don't know every step that
The correct answer was yes.
individual you mentioned was involved in, but certainly I know that he was heavily involved in the Clinton email investigation.
Thank you. And is this the same Peter Strzok who helped, was a key player in the Russian investigation, and the same Peter Strzok who was put on Mueller's team, Special Counsel Bob Mueller's team?
The correct answer is yes.
I certainly know that he was working on the Special Counsel's investigation. Whether or not he would be characterized as a key player on that investigation, that's really not for me to say.
And the same Peter Strzok that we learned this past weekend was removed from the Special Counsel team because he exchanged text messages with a colleague at the FBI that displayed a pro-Clinton bias. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Talk about the same guy. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to stop there so we can go ahead and just visit this pro-Clinton bias. I think Mr. Jim Jordan was being very generous whenever he said pro-Clinton bias, because I think that it goes just a little bit beyond that. But let's finish listening to this.
Well, here's what I'm not getting. Peter Strzok is selected to be on Mueller's team after all this history, put on Mueller's team, and then he's removed for some pro-Clinton text messages. I mean, there are all kinds of people on Mueller's team who are pro-Clinton. There's been all kinds of stories. PolitiFact reported 96% of the top lawyers' contributions went to Clinton or Obama. But Peter Strzok, the guy who ran the Clinton investigation, interviewed Mills, Abedin, interviewed Secretary Clinton, changed gross negligence a crime to the term extreme carelessness, who ran the Russian investigation, who interviewed Mike Flynn, gets put on Mueller's team, and then he gets kicked off for a text message that's anti-Trump. If he kicked everybody off Mueller's team who was anti-Trump, I don't think there'd be anybody left. So there's got to be something more here. It can't just be some text messages that show a pro-Clinton, anti-Trump bias. There's got to be something more. And I'm trying to figure out what it is. But my hunch is it has something to do with the dossier. Director, did Peter Strzok help produce and present the application to the FISA court to secure a warrant to spy on Americans associated with the Trump campaign?
Congressman, I'm not prepared to discuss anything about a FISA process in this.
He's even more displeasing to watch than Comey.
We're not talking about what happened in the court. We're talking about what the FBI took to the court, the application. Did Peter Strzok, was he involved in taking that to the court?
I'm not going to discuss in this setting anything to do with the FISA court applications.
Well, let's remember a couple things, Director. And I know you know this. We've all been made aware of this in the last few weeks. Let's remember a couple things about the dossier. The Democrat National Committee in the Clinton campaign, which we now know were one and the same, paid the law firm, who paid Fusion GPS, who paid Christopher Steele, who then paid Russians, to put together a report that we call a dossier full of all kinds of fake news, National Enquirer garbage. And it's been reported that this dossier was all dressed up by the FBI, taken to the FISA court, and presented as a legitimate intelligence document, that it became the basis for granting a warrant to spy on Americans. And I'm wondering if that actually took place. It sure looks like it did. And the easiest way to clear it up is for you guys to tell us what was in that application and who took it there.
Congressman, our staffs have been having extensive interaction with both intelligence committees on our interaction with the FISA court, and I think that's the appropriate setting for those questions.
Here's what I think, Director Wray. I think Peter Strzok, head of counterintelligence at the FBI, Peter Strzok, the guy who ran the Clinton investigation, did all the interviews, Peter Strzok, the guy who was running the Russian investigation at the FBI, Peter...
Okay, just to interject, obviously we have to, at this point, go back and the Clinton emails, all of the immunity deals and everything that was done with that should be null and void. Of course, isn't it funny that, who was it? Was it Comey that ordered the devices to be destroyed? They all need to go to jail. They all need to go to jail for obstruction of justice. Because I believe that's what happens. When you destroy evidence, you basically assume the guilt.
Peter Strzok, Mr. Super Agent at the FBI, I think he's the guy who took the application to the FISA court. And if that happened, I mean, think if this happened, if you had the FBI working with a campaign, the Democrats' campaign, taking opposition research, dressing it all up and turning it into an intelligence document and taking it to the FISA court so they could spy on the other campaign, if that happened,
And it did.
that is as wrong as it gets. And you know what? Maybe I'm wrong. You can clear it all up. You can clear it all up for all of us here, all the Congress who wants to know, and frankly, all of America who wants to know. You can clear it all up by release. We sent you a letter 2 days ago. Just release the application. Tell us what was in it. Tell us if I'm wrong. But I don't think I am. I think that's exactly what happened. And if it did, it is as wrong as it can be. And people who did that need to be held accountable.
Congressman, we will not hesitate to hold people accountable after there has been an appropriate investigation, independent and objective, by the Inspector General into the handling of the prior matter.
And who is that? Who is going to be the Inspector General that's going to be looking into that? Would that be Rosenstein? Because as of today, and this is information from a few days ago, which a lot of you probably already are aware of, and it's amazing. And I'm starting off here because it's amazing whenever we look at this, where it kind of goes to. Now we know that there was a spouse involved. Now we know that Rosenstein comes out and we know specifics of what was exchanged in the text messages, which were, to say that there was a bias would be stating something, such a complete understatement. When you call the First Lady and the President's child douchebags, and you are the premier person who's going to be of the utmost professional running an investigation, then the problems are innumerable.
Based on that, I will look at all available remedies depending on what the facts are when they are found. As to the access to the dossier, that's something that is a subject of ongoing discussion between my staff and the various intelligence committees.
There's nothing prohibiting you, Director. Is there anything prohibiting you from showing this committee what was presented to the FISA court? The application you all put together at the FBI that was presented to the FISA court. Is there anything preventing you from showing us that?
The time of the gentleman has expired. The director can respond.
I do not believe that I can legally and appropriately share a FISA court submission with this committee.
I'm talking about what the FBI put together, not what the court had, what you took there, what was the process put together, what you presented, what you took to the court.
When I sign FISA applications, which I have to do almost every day of the week, they are all covered with a classified information cover. So that's part of why we
Is
would
it
not
likely
be
that
discussing
Peter
it here.
Strzok, is it likely that Peter Strzok played a part in the application presented to the FISA court?
The gentleman's time has expired. However, I do want to follow up on your last response to the gentleman. This committee, the House Judiciary Committee, has primary jurisdiction over the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court. So any request for documents coming to any part of the Congress should include the House Judiciary Committee, and if it is classified in any way, shape, or form, it can be provided to us in a classified setting. But that is information that we are very much interested in,
Mr. Chairman,
very much want to receive.
Just a question to the chairman. Yeah, I don't think there's anything prohibiting the FBI from giving us what they used to put together what was taken to the FISA court. That's what we're asking for, and there is nothing prohibiting him from doing that.
I don't think there is either. The time of the gentleman has expired, however. Gentleman, recognize the gentleman from...
Mr. Wray is a obvious swamp creature who should have a very, very short career. And what I find interesting is that when I went into looking at the WikiLeaks for this Peter Strzok, do you know that there were absolutely no results? None. I find that really astonishing. Not really. Because he was tied into everything, okay, from the investigations with Clinton and so forth. So just to think that there should be nothing with his name appended to it is just complete and utter bullshit. I know the WikiLeaks has been compromised. So whatever is about to be unearthed, it's not an unfiltered, unadulterated compilation of information like it was last year. I do believe that it's different. In other news, so all of these allegations that have come out against Trump, these aren't new. These are allegations that came out last year. They were percolating. And of course, anybody who was paying any bit of attention knew that the whole charade of Stuart Smalley doing his, Academy Award-winning resignation, along with all these other allegations and so forth, has been a built-up for the next plan to try to unseat a democratically elected president. And that will be for sexual misconduct allegations, because they couldn't do it with the Russia. They can't do it with the obstruction. As a matter of fact, every time they try to do something, it kind of blows up in their face. So I'm guessing that this is going to as well. And the disgust that I have for the female species at this point that partake in falsely accusing anyone of sexual misconduct, not only sexual misconduct, but true, like the one woman was sniffling. I don't know what in God's name she was doing. It sounded like she was snorting. I think she was trying to force herself to cry. Of course, Allred's next to her side. I'm not going to go, I just don't want to even go down that path so much because I can't even take it seriously. Semiogogue did a wonderful compilation of the 20 allegations that are against Trump. And I'm going to link that video in the description box. So you can kind of go ahead and look at that. I think that he hits on each of them pretty well and defines what their allegations are fairly well. In other news, and I have to cover this up to show you, this is kind of like how I see what these women do. Let me cover this. Look, I don't know, because I can't see the screen, but I don't know. Can you see this? You see? I got a letter. I got a letter from Trump. Now, I haven't opened it yet, but I'm guessing that if I were any one of those women, right, I would call my attorney, okay, because apparently I'm being violated because Trump sent me a letter, because obviously his name is on it. And he has my address, so obviously he's stalking me. I'm just thinking about the mentality of these people. And let's see, he starts off, "Dear Anna," dear, he called me dear. That is obviously very misogynistic and is violent, I think, violent. "Thank you for your tremendous support of the Republican National Committee, RNC, in 2017. I feel violated. I feel violated. Even though I think this isn't," and he goes on to just thank me for my support to them. And so I guess I'm going to call Allred out now and let her know that I've been violated by President Trump because I received this correspondence in the mail. And then on top of that, I'll have to cover this because I cover my address. I actually got something else too. So that's like harassment. That's like I got 2 pieces of mail in one day. All right, 2 pieces of mail in one day. Let's see what this one is. State of the Nation survey. Oh. Are these just, enjoy, or are these just, I'm okay. I'll have to respond. I'm a little bit behind on my comments and video making. Life's just gotten busy around the holidays and so forth, and I'm just not really so organized in making this video, but basically, Roy Moore lost. Everybody expects Trump to resign now since they can't really get him out any other way, and these women are flippin' crazy. So let's see what the State of the Nation survey questions. I can't really see this. Just take this Republican National Committee president, voted for Trump. And say, I don't like to say I'm part of any sort of affiliation of a party. I really don't. It depends on the person. And let's see. Carefully answer each of the following questions. Do you have any interest in serving as a volunteer to help at your local Republican Party headquarters or to assist a Republican candidate in your area? No. Are you satisfied with the pace of change and reform in Washington, D.C.? No. Do you believe Republicans in both chambers of Congress have done enough to help President Trump enact his agenda? No. Are you more confident in the direction of our nation under the leadership of President Trump than you were under 8 years of Barack Obama? Yes. Do you believe that the so-called mainstream media has given President Trump his agenda and Republicans in Congress fair and unbiased coverage? No. Have you seen any signs that Democrat Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and Democrat House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi are willing to put aside partisan differences to work with President Trump to address the needs of the American people? Chuck Schumer, no. Nancy Pelosi, yes. As a matter of fact, after, she was bitten by those she feeds at the DACA event, seemed like she did have a little bit of an about face now. 7, do you believe our nation's economy is on the right track to grow and create more jobs because of Trump's administration's reduction to regulation and red tape? I'm not really sure what his reductions, how those are panned out, so I have no opinion on that at this point. Do you support deployment of THAAD missile defense system and the U.S. military show of force in and around South Korea in response to the provocative actions and statements by the rogue state of North Korea? See, I can't trust anyone. I can't really answer that question because I don't trust any intelligence that comes out of anywhere that would even begin to purport what is actually going on. I don't. How am I to know? I can't trust these people. These are the same. Look at who we have in the Congress right now. Look at who we have reporting the news. Look at what we have when we read these private text messages and what they say. Do we really trust these people? For fuck's sake, no. Should the Republican majority in the United States Senate continue to take whatever steps are necessary to overcome Democratic opposition to confirm President Trump's choices for federal courts, especially for vacancies in the Supreme Court? Yes. Do you believe that President Trump has any hope of enacting his agenda if the Democrats gain control of either chamber of Congress in 2018? No, because it's not even the Democrats. I mean, they want me to take this survey, this State of the Nation survey, seriously. I need a whole lot of space to pencil shit in. What issues do you believe should be at the top of President Trump and Republicans' agenda? Choose one. They have build the border wall and stop illegal immigration, tax cuts. 2, make income tax simpler, flatter, more fair. 3, renegotiate trade deals to put American jobs first. 4, make the federal government more accountable. 5, balance the federal budget. 6, confirm more pro-Constitution jurists to the federal bench. 7, expand domestic energy exploration. 8, finalize, repeal, and replacement of Obamacare. 9, cut the corporate tax rate to stimulate job. Or 10, other. Other. Yeah, I would check other. Drain the motherfucking swamp. Mueller, Wray, Comey, Lynch, Cheryl Mills. Go back to the Clinton. Everyone under Clinton. Podesta, all of them, Holder, Eric Holder, Yates, all of them. There's so many. There's so many. It's McCain, Paul Ryan. Who was the Republican that paid top dollar for that dossier? Because that's what they're saying. They say that it was Republican that ponied up a bunch of money. Was it McCain? I'm guessing that it was. Okay, so that was the survey. This is a very impromptu video, just kind of rambling on at this point. But that is it in the news. I am just prepared to be hearing a lot. I'm not going to get myself so upset about it when I hear all these wretched women come out, sniffle like wounded dogs about what Trump did to them. I don't believe it. I believe that they sought after something. And even though some of those stories might be very close to real, the way that it's presented is twisted. It's very twisted. And that's all I'm going to say about that. All right, I hope everybody has a good night. I guess there was more I wanted to write, but that's probably going to be a long enough video. So have a good night. Bye.